All right, boys, what's going on? How you doing, Sean G? Mohammed Gurvinder's in here. Marcel's in here. What's up, the Nudge? Nils, Mr. Black, Phil's in here at the Nudge again. Bikram BV7 is in here. Oscar, what's going on, brother? What's going on, boys? So let's just get right into it. We had a great week here in My Stock Life. A lot of winners being thrown out there. My AirPod just died. That's okay. But yeah, so we had a great week here. I hope you guys made a lot of money. If you didn't, I hope you learned a lot. And I'm pretty sure no one lost a lot of money. What's going on, Matt? So the name of the title of this video is Trading Psychology. It's a very important topic. So we will go over the charts, but I wanted to go over that as well when we get to the Moderna chart. I'll show you exactly how I messed up and exactly what I wrote down, so I don't mess that up again. So what happened? Let's go into SPY. As I've been saying this whole week, we've been pinning SPY. So we opened this morning at 451.98. We closed today at 453.06. So we did move $1 today, which is more than the rest of the week. I mean, we didn't move much. There's a lot of volatility intraday, and we end up closing right where we opened almost every single day this week. That's what usually happens in the summer, low volume trading. There's not big moves in either direction. After this long weekend, we got the hedge fund managers coming back from the Hamptons after their vacations, wherever the hell they went, and they're going to start throwing fat money back into the market, so let's see what happens. SPY is still in a bullish uptrend, kind of struggling up here, just kind of going sideways. Looks like it's just floating up here. Anything is possible. What we're watching upside is 454.43, which is the all-time high. No, 454.05 is the all-time high. 453.63 was today's high. So just watch the all-time high, which is 454.05, and the first downside is the 8 EMA. 450.88 is the first support to the downside. 450.88 to the downside, 454.05 to the upside. Other than that, we're still in a bullish trend. We're still in the middle of the channel. There's no key resistance or support here. So we might just keep floating up. We might float sideways while the stocks rip. We might go straight down. Other than that, everything's bullish on SPY. QQQ held up better than most today, which is very good. Pre-market high, pre-market low, lots of volatility after that jobs report, and we just stayed in the range all day. But we did close in the upper part of the range, which is bullish. The other sectors were not so lucky. End of the day buying here. So we did make a big move on QQQ today. So that shows tech strength. We opened at 379.22. We closed today at 381.59. So big move in the Qs today. Nice consolidation if you zoom out to the daily. Let's get out of here. So consolidation on the daily, we came down and the 8-day moving average was at 378.25. We touched 379.20. So almost touched the 8-day moving average and we bounced off big. Bullish candle. Everything looks fine. Only resistance left is the all-time high, 382.71. So that's all you have to watch. And the downside is, again, that 8-day moving average, which is 378.25. Okay, so just watch those two numbers on Qs. XLF was weaker than the Qs. We closed right at the bottom of the range, where QQQ closed right at the top of the range. Lots of lines around here. Let's get rid of them. So XLF has just kind of been in equilibrium. Financials are very tricky to play here. Scalping-wise, it's fine, but long-term-wise, I don't really like it much. Looks like an ascending wedge is forming here, so just keep an eye on this little wedge here. We might, if we bounce on Monday, it'll confirm this wedge and we'll make our ways back to the upside. We might even set an all-time high on XLF next week. If we break down from this wedge, the next support is not down to the 50-day moving average, which is at 37.25. That's a big move, and plus you see all this lack of volume here. If we do break this triangle to the downside, it's going to come down in a flash to the 50-day moving average, which is 37.25. Keep an eye on XLF for that move. IWM was super weak today. So I called out IWM calls this morning. I probably played IWM 15 times in the last 2 weeks, and I've nailed it 13 times. So I was confident in my trade. Why was I confident in my trade? IWM's been doing the exact same thing every single day this week. So this is IWM's pattern right here, okay? Off the open, we get a huge dip for the first 20-25 minutes, and then it just grinds up for the rest of the day. Right here, huge dip from beginning of the day, grinds up for the rest of the day. Huge dip, grinds up for the rest of the day. Huge dip, we did not grind up today. So those calls went to zero. Unfortunately, it happens. I was playing patterns. I still think it was a good trade, even though it goes to zero. And if you continue taking good trades, the money will follow. Don't worry about it. 1-2 losses here and there doesn't matter. I'll go over Moderna at the end because that was my worst trade in months, probably. PayPal called out the 230. What did I call out? I don't even remember what I called it. 290 calls for September 10th on PayPal were called out yesterday on that dip. We got a bunch of good news in PayPal. I love the bull flag setup here. So we had this big run off that news, then we got more news. We have a perfect bull flag forming on the daily. We got a big gap to fill all the way up to 296.78 or 297 you can call it. And today it looked like it wanted to go, but the market was weak, so it just held off for a little bit. So Tuesday, if we break through this little resistance that we have here, above 290, PayPal goes straight to 296, and I think it happens next week. Like I told you, as soon as I called out the plays, PayPal has so much open interest on 285 and 290 calls for this week. They probably just wanted to screw those people and run it next week. So that's why I took next week's calls. I'm still holding them, and we'll see what happens next week. Let's see if we can fill this gap to 296. Tesla. So Tesla has an absolute masterpiece of a technical setup, right? That 726, 725, 50, 726 level on Tesla is so beautiful. We've been watching it for so long. We got through it. We closed above it. Everything looks great. What Tesla likes to do sometimes, it likes, just from the premiums this week on the calls and puts, we told you at My Stock Life that it wasn't going to go. The most likely thing was just range bound sideways because the calls were too cheap and the puts were too cheap, so they're just going to screw both sides this week. So unless you were scalping, we did make money on Tesla calls and puts this week, so that's good. But other than that, there's no swing trade available because the premiums were all over the place for Tesla this week. We're watching the bigger term time frame here, the weekly. Last time I broke out of a wedge like this, so we went from 404 all the way to 884. So more than 100% move on Tesla out of the first wedge. And this time we have an even tighter wedge. So we're waiting for this move, this weekly move that's possible on Tesla. If we break this week's high of 742, I think this one goes back to all-time highs very easily. So watch 742 now. 726 is the downside. It has to hold 726 or else this play is done. 742 to the upside to all-time highs. Zoom, I was looking at it just for a post-earnings, maybe 3-day. Turkey made me look at it. Otherwise, I wouldn't even look at it. Earnings weren't that bad. It's just very overvalued here. So obviously, the market is punishing way overvalued companies right now. It's very, very obvious. So a bunch of growth companies went all the way up and all the way back. We'll go over a couple of those in a little bit. But Zoom, huge dump off. Usually after a bad earnings like this, I wait 3 or 4 weeks. Lately, it's been 3 weeks. When a good company gaps down on good earnings, you wait 3 weeks, you jump in calls, and you get paid big. And another example of that is my Amazon that we called out today. I'm going to call it my Amazon. So Zoom, we're going to wait 3 weeks to play it. You can scalp it here and there, but for a swing trade, I'd rather wait the 3 weeks. BTBT. Just nasty action. I don't know what the hell happened to this one. Absolute ripper this morning. Went up 15% in a line. This is a 15% day right here. Gave it all back and then some. Gave it all back and then some. We opened this morning at 1309. We closed today at 1296. So all in all, we lost 14 cents on the day and a lot of premium on our calls. But we do have 2 weeks on these calls. I expect Bitcoin to keep going. It did break some key resistances. It held a key support, so everything looks bullish on Bitcoin for now. Let's see how it acts over the Labor Day weekend. Long weekends notoriously aren't good for Bitcoin, but let's see what happens this time. It wasn't set up like this last September when we had Memorial Day or Labor Day or whatever holiday it is. We get a day off, who cares? Sava. So the CEO came out with literally the worst statement you could probably. He said, "I think the allegations are false." Why the hell would you be a CEO of a company and say, "I think the allegations are false"? Like, who's in charge of these companies? I don't know. But we ripped up pre-market and then just faded all day. Those calls went to zero, unfortunately. I do like Sava longer term out. This is a very news-driven stock. When they do, if they clear that case that they have against them, the stock jumps 20 points. It's straight from 50 to 70, and you might not catch it unless you're already in it. So I'm going to continue keeping an eye on Sava. As soon as that lawsuit is cleared, I think this one jumps a lot. I mean, they're curing Alzheimer's, and they have FDA approval for a bunch of their stuff. So I don't think it's a fraud company, but until that lawsuit is gone, this one's just going to stay sideways within this range. The range is 65 to the top and 49 to the bottom. 65 to the top and 49 to the bottom. That's the range that Sava's in. Until it breaks one way or the other, it's not a play. Amazon nailed it at the end of the day. I told you guys yesterday all day that I was waiting for one thing on Amazon and I was going to jump in heavy. And believe me, I jumped in heavy. So what I wanted to see was this is a perfect 2-day rest pattern. So huge run, 2 days of rest. Third day, it held above my fib of 34.57 all day. If you look at it, even while the market was dumping, it was just holding sideways. Look, this is where I entered right here. Once it got this candle to shake out everyone, came back up and it held for like 20 more minutes. I jumped in $3,600 calls for September 24th for 1650. Those closed at like 21 or 22, I believe. I didn't look yet. But right after I did that, I called it out in the group. I also took spreads, the vertical calls for 35.50, 35.60 for September 24th for 250. And they're both green. So I had a lot of confidence in this Amazon after it held this 34.57 for the last half of the day, other than this one shakeout candle. Just held it all day, held the moving averages, and then just ripped. Ripped, bull flag, rip. Into the end of the day, high a day close. Everything you want to see on Amazon, hammer candle, closed above the fib. The next level up is 35.05 and then 35.54 for Amazon, okay? 35.05, then 35.54 we're watching for Amazon. I am very excited for this play. Let's see what happens on Monday if we gap up. This has a very good chance of going to 3,600 next week. Okay, why do I say that? It was the same pattern. Me and Ricky were discussing this the other day. So we had, which play was it? Let's see if I can find the same spot with Ricky. So anyways, study this Amazon chart. Get back to me on Monday. See what me and Ricky, I could tell you right now, but I don't want to. You guys figure it out and then tell me. So anyways, it has to do with right here, this little pattern here. Take a look at it. Let me know what you guys see. If you guys see what I see, then you'll see why I was so excited about this play. Jumia. So this morning we got terrible job numbers. We had like 235K job numbers versus over 700K estimates. In theory, that should be good for growth stocks. That should rotate money into growth stocks. But obviously, IWM weakest sector today, so the theory was wrong. Jumia, big spike up in the morning to fake everyone out that the theory was right, and then just dipped below. Jumia, I'm still in the $22 calls for next Friday. Chart still looks like it's already bottomed. I think it's bottomed already. I don't think it ever goes below $17, $16.94, sorry. So what we're watching on Jumia is it has to change the daily trend. Like I say to you guys every day, it's been in a daily downtrend ever since the peak. The peak on this stock was 69.89. So we went from 69.89 all the way to $16. So big dump off on growth like you guys have been seeing in the market. But right now we're in the process of changing the daily trend. Right now we're going to we change the hourly. What do I mean by change the hourly and the daily? I'm going to turn off extended hours here. So you see this hourly trend? What I'm talking about on this hourly trend is this is a lower high, lower low, right? Lower high, lower low. Lower high, lower low. What we did here was we put in another lower high, but then we put in a higher low, and now a higher high, and now a higher low, and now a higher high, and now let's see if this is the low. This would be a higher low again, and then we need to put in a higher high. So next week we have to I change this. Break this high right here of 22.15. If Jumia does not break 22.15 next week, we did not change the hourly. Well, we already did change the hourly trend, but we're trying to change the 4-hour and the daily trend now. So we need to break 22.15 to change the 4-hour trend back in favor of the bulls. And then the daily trend also needs to change back in the favor of the bulls here. And we do that by breaking 22.15 and setting a higher high and another higher low next week. So let's see if Jumia continues. ES, I had my resistance points this morning. We broke through this resistance. That's why I was super cautious this morning. But obviously we went right back through it and we held it for the rest of the day. So ES looks fine. VIH was the short play. I called it this morning. 45% short interest in this name. It was brought to my attention by one of my friends in another group. I took a look at it and I seen this 1070 level. It looks just absolutely beautiful. I said if we close above 1070 today, this one should absolutely rip. And this one has huge volume, huge short interest, closed above a major level. So basically, when I say shorts are going to get squeezed, anyone that shorted this stock since May 11th of this year is getting screwed right now. They're in the red. So if you shorted this stock after May 11th this year, every single person that shorted any of these pops and is still holding, they got screwed today. And if they cover on Monday, it's going to rip even higher. So Monday, what I'm watching for is a break of today's high, 1157. We need to break 1157 on Monday, and then the next level up isn't until $16. Okay, so big risk reward. Good risk reward in this stock. I'm holding equity and I don't know when I'll sell. I might even hold till 16. Let's see what the short squeeze gets going on Monday and we'll see where we go. Bitcoin. What was I talking about? The positive resistance support. My computer started lagging. Sorry guys. It's been on all day. It's like 40 things on it. Bitcoin. Beautiful bull flag on the daily. Breakout. Held the 46,000 I've been telling you guys about for so long. Everything looks bullish on Bitcoin to me right now. Let's see over the weekend if people like don't buy or don't, you know what I mean? Like sometimes people just don't buy stuff over the long weekend. So let's see if it holds. The level that it needs to hold is 46,000. If it breaks below 46,000, I will cut a lot of my Bitcoin. Well, I don't have Bitcoin. I have Ethereum, Matic, ADA, Solano, and Band. But if it breaks below this 46,000, I will be taking profits on a lot of that. I called the entry at 30K down here. So you already got 30K to 50K in like a month. So be happy with that. Always be taking profits. Don't just, leave it all on the table. AMD, we had a call. I called 115s for this week. Why did I call them? We closed above the 8-day moving average today, 109.48 to 109.92. So we closed above the 8-day moving average today. We have another bull flag setup. Last time we had this setup was right here. Breakout. Last time we had this wedge. We had this huge run. So we're just waiting to see if we get the same type of run or not. If we get, this is the line to be watching next week. You guys know how explosive AMD is. When it wants to go, it really runs. So through today's high, which is 111.17, AMD should run next week if we get through today's high of 111.17. And whenever I say stuff like this, it all depends on the market. If the market dumps, none of this stuff's going to go. So you have to watch the indexes. Moderna, the worst trade I've done in a long, long time. Why was it the worst trade? So yesterday at close, I seen a lot of strength in Moderna. We closed above that fib level I'm always talking about. Right here. So I wanted it to close above this 394. Yesterday we closed at 397. So I jumped in $400 lottos for three. $400 lottos, $3. Oh wait, it was at 397, right? So it was 397 yesterday at close. I jumped in $400 lottos for $3 yesterday. Called it out in the group. And this morning when we woke up, they were down a little bit. It went straight down this morning. Those $400 lottos today went to 60 cents, guys. Let me just type this out. I didn't look at the price at closing, but they were 60 cents this morning for the $400 lotto. They went, when I last looked, they went to $13.75, which equals 2,200% in the same day. And $13.75 wasn't even the high for them. Do you know the high for the Moderna 400s?
No, but I can check.
So this morning, me and Maddie were talking about this Moderna 400s. We said they were going to go. We saw them at 60 cents. We told a lot of people, jump in if you want. I sold half of my lottos from 3 to 450-ish, I believe. 3 to 450, but then I held the other half. And what happened? Biden came on. He said some stupid news about vaccines. The White House advises no booster shots. And then it dumped, obviously, this morning. It dumped hard.
17.14 was the highest.
So I bought them here yesterday. Dumped down this morning to 60 cents. They came back up. I sold half for 450 around here, around this resistance. And then we got that bad news, came down here. I was still confident in my calls. And then they came out with more bad news. They said Moderna's shot is not as safe, or no, Pfizer and BNTX's shot is approved for the booster shots, whereas Moderna needs additional documents. So they went from here and they just rolled the over, okay? So I had to cut my calls for one. From 3 to 450, then I sold the rest 3 to 1. Overall, I only lost a little bit of money on the trade, but what I really screwed up was I knew I had this trade, okay? I had this. So it runs back up here. It comes to resistance. I'm like, no way it breaks resistance, right? So I jumped back in puts. Looking back now, I know I was revenge trading. I wanted to get my money back from this name. I took the puts. It came down here. I got greedy. I wanted a double. And it just ripped. The rest of the day just absolutely ripped. Puts went to zero. I lost money on my calls. Whereas if I just held my original calls from 3, they went to $17. Thank you, Matt.
Yep.
$17. So 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. Holy shit, man. This is like more than 500% on the Modernas if I just held them. But obviously it's impossible to know that. We had 2 pieces of bad news. And that I just wanted to go over. Know your rules. If you screw up, stop trading for a little bit. The market's going to be here when you get back. I went and laid out by the pool. I came back. I bought Amazon and I made back everything and then some. So just have some rules. Follow your rules. I know some of you guys like taking lottos and these bad plays. It's going to build bad habits and it's going to make you screw up trades that you usually would do well on. So that's all I wanted to say about psychology. This whole game's about discipline. There's anyone that tells you it's not about discipline has no idea what they're talking about. Discipline, risk management, and rules. Have your rules. Thank you guys for attending. Have a blessed long weekend. I'll see you on Monday.